Hi. I hope everyone's out there having a great day today. I've been home pouring over more info coming in on Chris Watts. Um, I am obsessed with this case. I have been from the moment I found out about it. What can make a nice, kind, loving, doting dad, son, husband, neighbor, friend, co-worker that everyone thought so highly of? How can someone go from that to a monster? And monster is, to put it very mildly. What he did is just unimaginable to the majority of us. But what in the world happened to make him snap? What happened? He had it all. He had a beautiful family, a beautiful home, a great job, great friends, everything. I mean, he had it all. They were living the dream, but it wasn't good for him. It wasn't good enough for him. Um, I know a lot of people like to hate on Shannan, but I'm going to defend Shannan. Shannan was Shannan. When he married Shannan, she was Shannan. Um, the day he killed Shannan, Shannan was Shannan. And, you know, I'm sorry. I'm not going to rag her today at all. I respect her. She was doing, in my eyes, she was doing everything she could to keep her family and her children safe, happy, and healthy, all the while battling lupus. So, and I might say in another video a little bit about what I know about that kind of illness, but I'm not going to get into it today. However, it is a life changer. I do know that much. So, let's get into it. I want to talk today about Nichol Kessinger, aka North Korea. In my opinion, she was a huge catalyst to the events that occurred on August 13th, to the events leading up to that date, and what happened afterwards up until currently. And I say this because, in my opinion, she made a lot of bad choices. So did Chris. I'm not deflecting any blame from Chris, don't get me wrong. But I think between the two of them and the events that were going on at the same time, I believe it all created like this, to quote the name of a movie from several years ago, kind of a perfect storm, if you will. The first time that we know for sure of anything as far as Nichol and the Watts are concerned was back in September of 2017. In 2017, I've got a bunch of notes here, so if you hear paper rattling, that's what it is. I believe it was September. I'm not seeing it. I'll find it in a little bit. But in September of 2010, in September of 2017, Nichol searched Shannan Watts. Now, what prompted her to do that? I don't know. Was it Thrive? Lavelle? We don't know. It was never mentioned that she was on that. She was not taking those supplements. She was not doing that. We know that. So, we don't know. What we do know is that she was actively involved in an affair with a married man. Now, I know that happens a lot, a lot, a lot. It's often, though, hindsight's 2020. One of those things that, I mean, it shouldn't happen, period. You shouldn't take your own man or your own single man and do what you will, but leave the married men alone. And again, that's my opinion, and I know there's probably a lot of women who disagree with that, but anyway, I don't see anything, normally nothing good comes out of having affairs with married men or women. But during this time, um, it started on July 22nd. Okay, September 1st, 2017 was the day she searched for Shannan once. I just rechecked that. Um, July 1st. Um, well, let me go back a little bit. On June 22nd, on their way to on June 22nd, Chris and Shanann were on their way to San Diego for that vacation. On the way there, he added a new contact to his phone. APC Health Safety Environmental, aka Nichol Kessinger. So 622, of course, we know by now they were actively involved. I don't know just how actively, but they had met at a park by then, um, and spent hours together. Um, so, okay, so it was getting started. July 1st, Nichol initiated the first call between them. Now, it does mention in the papers that there was, they believe there were a lot of messages, calls, searches, etc., that were not ever even um, able to be pulled up because everything had been deleted. They had deleted it all, so they don't think they were able to get it to recover everything. Um, so that happened. While that was going on, well, on July 1st, that happened. Let me back up a second. I apologize. I'm everywhere. I've got notes and I'm still everywhere. I'm trying to focus my thoughts, but on this, you just kind of jump from one thing to another. Um, During the time that they were seeing each other, they went on multiple trips, dates, and spent a lot of time at her apartment. So she opened up her door to having an affair with a married man, in my opinion, but it's also a stated fact. She did ride in, she even rode in his wife's car, her Lexus SUV. Um, she went to his house with him on 2 occasions. This is stated by her. Um, she was helping him find an apartment. She suggested he get 3 bedrooms so each of the girls could have their own bedroom. She suggested that he not move too far away from Shanann because it would be harder on the kids. And she also told him he wanted to get, reasonably close to the gym and to their school. And she was doing everything she could to get him out. Yes, he did tell her that he was separated. And they were basically just waiting on the divorce to be final when it first, when it was initiated. But as things went on, she knew. I mean, she knew exactly what was going on. She knew Shanann was in North Carolina. She knew why Shanann was in North Carolina. She knew everything. In September, oh, I've got this written twice. I apologize. When everything was brought out in court, and again, this is focused mostly on Nichol, so if I say something and it doesn't ring a bell, I'm talking about her. When asked about her at the news conference after the sentencing of Chris Watts, the DA said she was mostly forthcoming. In other words, he knows there's information held back. There wasn't 100% honesty. She wasn't 100%, she didn't give up everything by any means. When she found out that he was a dad and had two daughters, she thought it was cute. We got that from her interview from the police. So you could just hear her voice change. She kind of melted. She thought that was so cute that he had kids and that he was a dad. When they would go places, they would take her truck. He would drive over there, and then they would go in her truck. And I'm assuming that's, for them to hide, so that hopefully no one would see them out. She set up his fitness app in his phone and helped him to eat clean. She was managing that and setting it up so that he could be healthy. He was into living a healthy lifestyle. She was as well. She was helping him. Um, and I'm saying these things to say concerning the apartment, concerning the kids, concerning their school, concerning everything revolving around him getting away from Shannan. She was vested in this relationship. This was not a fly by night thing. This was not just, oh, okay, I've got all this time, da da da. She was vested in this relationship. She told him she loved him. She didn't hold back. They obviously had, relations many times. Even, even on each visit, there were multiple times that they were active, um, sexually active. Um, she did not want, and this is what she said, she did not want a man who had children and who came from a broken family because she wanted someone to experience the firsts with the buying a house, the having a baby, the marriage. He had already experienced all that. Um, do you think somehow that she felt all that, yet never let Chris know that she felt that way? In my opinion, I don't think she could feel that strongly about something and not let him know. Um, I do believe Chris knew. And I believe that was a lot of the fuel that was added to the fire, because he did have children. He did have a wife. He would be divorced. He would be paying child support, etc., etc. He would be having visitation, on and on and on. Um, the only way to cut that out and start over completely in his mind was to take his whole family out, sadly. Um, on August the 9th, Chris Watts took a picture of that doll and sent that picture to Shannan. When I first saw that doll, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so creepy. And then I thought about it a little while and I thought, because it was said that the girls had done that. And I thought, if a little girl has a baby and she's wrapping it in a blanket, the first thing she's going to do is make sure that blanket does not cover that baby's face. And she's going to wrap that baby in that blanket from the neck down or from under the arms down, just depending on probably the age of the little girl. But I've never seen any child anywhere cover up a doll's head and not cover their feet purposely. And the way that sheet was wrapped around that doll, I don't believe for a minute that the girls did that. It was too neat. It was too perfect. Her head on the pillow, her feet on another pillow, lying there on the couch. Yeah, I don't. In my opinion, those girls did not do that. Chris did that. And to me, that shows premeditation. A lot of people say he snapped when she got home. And they may be right. I could be very wrong. But I believe with all my heart, when he did that, he already had in his mind, maybe not a full out plan, but he had thought about killing his wife at least. That's my opinion. Um, while all this was going on, they were she was sending him nude, semi-nude. She was sending him all kinds of photographs. Another thing that makes me think that she had a lot to do with this, her support and the support that she was showing him. Um, I don't see, I don't know, Chris being the meek and mild person he was, to me, he would have had to have a very strong influence from somewhere to pull that off, to think of that and to do that. Um, I just don't, I think had the affair not been going on, we would not be seeing this story right now. And I wish to God we could all go back and erase the day that all this started, and that Shannan and her girls would still be, and Nico would still be here with everyone and with their family. Um, because I just don't believe it would have happened had he not gotten involved in that affair with Nichol Kessinger. Um, of course, everything happens for a reason, but um, anyway, um, and the other thing that bothers me is that he had the audacity to blame Shannan for the girls' deaths. Um, they went from, before she went to North Carolina, they went from being, according to Shannan, they couldn't get enough of each other, but they were all over each other. They went from that to, by the time he got there, he wouldn't kiss her, he wouldn't hug her. He didn't even sleep in the bed a couple of times. Like, he slept on the couch and in one night, and in the girls' room one night. Excuse me, I had to take a drink. Um, anyway, and the fact that he blamed Shannan for killing those girls is just unbelievable. It's like he's pulling her name through the mud. And to Chris, what people think about him is very important. And due to something that Nichol searched, she searched, did people hate Amber Fry or dislike? I wrote it down exactly like she said it. Where is it? Did people hate her? Did people hate Amber Fry? She was worried about the perception of people also, and I would very much so say Shannan was, considering her presence on social media and how positive she was about everything. And Chris and Nichol did talk all the time about random things, according to both her and Chris. So, with them having talked about so much, he had to have known what her feelings were about a relationship with a man who had a wife who was getting divorced and who had kids and who had another child on the way. But yet she still told him she loved him with all of that going on. Per her words, it was in the police report, in the discovery documents. Um, She initiated a lot of calls according to the call logs. It was not Chris. The ones that I looked at, she was doing a lot more than he was. On May 29th, Shannan told Chris that she was pregnant. That's when she did the video. Oops, we did it again. It was really cute, and he looked less than thrilled. But I don't know Chris, so I can't say, I mean, maybe he did look happy for that. Maybe he did. Maybe that was his way of being thrilled, looking thrilled. Let's see. I've got these notes here. Some of them I've already mentioned. They came home from San Diego June 26th, early in the morning. They got home at 2 a.m. Shannan turned around and left on the 27th for North Carolina. Shannan and the girls did. July 1st was when the first call between Chris and Nichol took place, and it was made by her. This is according to the discovery documents. So she was not just an innocent bystander. That's my point. She was very actively involved in this affair. Maybe he was more into her. You can't prove it by me. You can't prove it by me, considering the documents, considering what we see. During this time that he and Nichol were talking, a lot of times he would ignore Shannan's calls, but yet if Nichol called, he would answer. She was totally in his head. she ended up deleting all contact she had with Chris. And on July 24th, she did a search for the man I'm having an affair with says he will leave his wife. Okay. So he will leave his wife, but yet she doesn't want a man who has been married and who has children. Right, Nicole? If you happen to see this, just remember that. Just remember that. You don't want a man who has children and a wife. Okay. And again, she told him, by her own words, she told him she loved him. On August the 4th, she searched for wedding dresses for 2 hours, and she searched for Chris Watts and Shannan Watts, Facebook pages, Facebook accounts. When Chris got to North Carolina, he wouldn't hug, kiss, or be intimate with Shannan. She was devastated. She had spent all that time down there sick over him. And then he finally gets there, hasn't seen his wife and his children in 5 weeks, and he gets there, and he's just, it's so much, there's so much negative energy coming from him toward them. And I think not only Nichol, I think also the time that they spent in North Carolina, I think that hurt things. I do, because I think Chris kind of realized what life, or what he thought life might be like without Nichol. Sadly, not Nichol, I'm sorry, without Shannan and the girls around. But he really didn't think that through, because in the long run, he could pick up his phone, he could talk to him, he could FaceTime him anytime. There was not a permanent death. Like, they were not gone forever, never to be brought back. You can't relate those things. Maybe he didn't miss them so much, but he was also very highly distracted. Very highly distracted by Nichol. So that's how he treated his loving wife that he adored 5 weeks prior. He wouldn't even take pics of her with her videos. He wouldn't do that anymore. He didn't, I guess he was scared that Nichol would see them on Facebook. I'm not sure. That's my assumption. My opinion. I just know that he refused. And then on August 4th, Nichol searched marrying your mistress. So she's having an affair with a married man who has a pregnant wife, who has lupus and is battling health challenges. She's all in. She just wants to kick them to the side, be done, and have her Chris. Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. Okay. It's very obvious from the documents and everything else. Everything. Her interview, everything. It is very obvious. She is obsessed with Chris Watts. Shannan, on the other hand, was so upset about Chris Watts and things that were going on that she canceled the gender reveal of their first son. She was so sick that she canceled the gender reveal. She wrote Chris love letters. She was desperate to save her marriage. She sent him a book on marriage. She was talking to friends. She was exhausting every resource possible. She contacted the realtor about selling their house so that their financial strain would be less. She said she was going to mark family time in on her calendar. She's going to block out family time to make sure that he didn't feel neglected. She was waking up and she was critiquing herself about everything. She was trying to fix everything. And then suddenly on August 9th, after refusing prior, he agreed to go away with Shannan for the weekend and to go to counseling. My question with this is, or my thought about this is, if you notice, this is the same day that he sent her a picture of the doll in the burial shroud. Suddenly he's agreeing to go away with her and agreeing to go to counseling. I think he knew as of August 9th exactly, maybe not exactly, but he knew what he wanted to do, or what he thought he wanted to do. He also searched information about Audi Q7s. I just have to wonder if that was Nicole's dream car or something. While he was doing that, and while they were having phone sex and sending nude pictures and all this, Shannan was vomiting, dehydrated, weak, taking care of two daughters, 4 and 3 years old, barely 3. Celeste had just turned 3, fighting lupus and fighting for her marriage at the same time. The investigators did say that they felt like there were a lot of texts, calls, computer searches, etc., that were presumed missing from the phones of Nichol and Chris. On August 11th, Kessinger searched how to prepare for anal sex. So not only were they kinking it up, but they were fixing to take it to a whole new level. He was completely enthralled with her. He couldn't help it. He was completely in. She also searched the anal sex guide. Took her to Pornhub, and there she searched threesomes with double penetration. So she was all in for a threesome with him and another guy. It's just sad. And then while that's going on, Shannan is driving herself crazy. No telling, just stress, and carrying that baby, and the stress it was probably putting on that baby. Then on August 11th, once she got home from their date, she searched. She researched Chris Watts, Shannan Watts, Ronnie Watts, excuse me, and 2825 Saratoga Trail. So it's funny, she knew the address to 2825 Saratoga Trail that night, and she had not been to his house that night, but yet when she talked to the detectives, she had no idea what his address was, how to find it. She'd have to drive around in the area and hope to find it. Maybe that's true. You can forget stuff like that, but yes, she searched them all separately. Chris Watts, Shannan, Ronnie, who is Chris's dad, and 2825 Saratoga Trail, which is funny to me because the people who were involved with Chris, or the person who was involved with Chris, the person that Chris confided to, that he confessed to, was his dad, and that's who she searched. Coincidence, I'm sure. Again, this is all my opinion or quoted facts from the Discovery pages. Let's see. At 5:01 on August 13th, the day of the murders, at 5:01 in the afternoon, she called Chris twice. It only gives one time, but it says she called him twice. At 5:30, he called her. It didn't say. I didn't make a note if I don't think it said, I don't think she answered, but maybe she did. I honestly can't remember for sure right there. Once they were done, those were deleted. Like immediately when they happened, they were deleted, according to the discovery documents. And then at 11:09, she called him again, and they talked for 51 minutes that night. Later that morning, she was still awake at 2 o'clock at 2 o'clock that morning, the morning of, well, that rolled into August 14th. At 2 o'clock, she couldn't sleep, evidently. At 2 o'clock a.m., she did a search for Shannan at 2 a.m. What was funny to me about this is around 2:15 or so, somewhere in there, right about 15 minutes later, Shannan went to purchase hair products and her credit card was denied. Supposedly. I don't know. That just, those times, anyway. I don't know. And then at 2, I can't read my writing. I think it says 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock p.m. that same day, the 14th, Tuesday, she spent nearly 4 hours searching Watts, news outlets, and news, and accounts of Shannan Watts' disappearance. Was she scared at that point? Did she possibly have a guilty conscience at that point? I don't know. I don't know, and we'll never know, I'm sure. It's just also crazy and intermingled, and anyway. So, but yes, by then it was a fact they were missing. It was, it was major. So then at 5 o'clock that day, she searched, can cops trace text messages? And how long do phone companies keep text messages? And what is the difference between text messages and text message details? So she was concerned, to say the least, about some of the text messages between them, or all of the text messages between them, being seen by the cops. And I quote, that's how she searched it. So she did not want the cops, obviously, to see their conversations. At 6:21, again, she searched for news about Shannan. And then it says she conducted these same searches frequently over the next several days and deleted every single one afterwards. To do that, you've got to feel some modicum of guilt. To go in and do something and delete it right then, to me, that says guilt. Nicole, I'm not saying you're guilty. If you see this video, I'm not saying that you're guilty. I don't know what you would even be guilty of. And lawyers, DAs, nobody's charged you. Nothing's happened. I'm just looking at things from my point of view and my opinion and the coincidences that I've seen in this case, and things that happened. I do think you probably involuntarily, I hope involuntarily, had a big hand in what happened. I believe had you and Chris not had the affair, that Shannan and those girls would still be here today, and Nico. I do. I believe that you created the perfect storm with Chris, and that you were the eye of that storm, in my opinion. The last thing I've got, she looked up August 29th. She looked at Fry's book deal. She looked up Fry's net worth. And she asked if people hated Amber Fry. So, there you have it. I highlighted some important events. I told you my take on the story. If you notice, This is my first video ever. I have no subscribers. I have nothing. So I would love to talk to you, interact with you more concerning this case. Um, I do. There's a few people I watch, and I cannot. I watch Molly Go Lightly. I watch Ask Go Lightly. She's called on subscribe. I mean, as it looks on YouTube when you subscribe to her. Um, I watch her, and there's a retired lady that I watch also. Sometimes I cannot think of um, her name. Anyway, um, and I mean, I don't know, I don't even know why I mentioned that, but I do watch things. So, anyway, if you will, please subscribe. If there's interest, I will put out more videos. I'm dissecting this constantly. It's just what I'm doing lately. So, it was great chatting with you. Please make a comment. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And have a, oh, and I'm Terry. It's great to meet you. I have plans for YouTube. I didn't expect to start today. And the reason you're seeing a candle burn is because I did you a favor. I didn't make you look at me yet. So that's coming, I'm sure. Y'all have a great day. Thanks. Bye bye.